Hello everybody. Today we're going to be talking about the portfolio monitoring service that we have at Trentham Invest and why we do the reviews. I first of all want to start by going back to the kind of days and decisions that people made when you first came to me in terms of how you actually make those investment decisions. How do you pull a portfolio together? What funds do you choose? What are the secret funds? What's everyone else buying? How are they making money and I'm not? When is a good time to buy? What about scams? Has anyone been scammed and how do I make sure I'm not one of those? So these things really kept you awake at night, thinking about, oh my gosh, you know, this is my hard-earned wealth and where am I going to invest it? The world is really scary. And it has been really scary over the last 3 months. So not knowing what's coming next and how long it's going to come for, it just really makes you very nervous. So I just want to really talk about the days that we have now and how that's changed from those times that you had to make all those decisions yourself. And now with our investment expertise, our disciplines, order, structure, integrity in picking those funds, those anxious, sleepless nights have disappeared. So where do we start? Well, we started with some global analysts. This time I've picked two, a couple from Fidelity and from Royal London in the main. And we covered a number of global topics. First thing we talked about was big shifts, and we talked from a big picture point of view from the globe. 1930s, 1940s, big shift in the globe. 2020, here's another one. Big downturn in the markets in March, and it's really caused a lot of businesses to change their business model, what they're doing, how they're doing it, and whom they're doing it with. And we had some policymakers. And who are they? They're from the governments around the globe, and they've decided to actually stop the downturn and invest enormous amounts of money into business, into industry, to support them through these really tough times. However, as a result of that, we've got debt in the US, particularly at near 100% of its GDP. So big changes then. We've been through a lot of austerity, getting rid of debt, and now we're back to where we were, maybe even worse. So there's a new group of people, modern monetary theory, talking about different ways in which we can get out of debt. The traditional way, the austerity way, is to inflate your way out of there. What they're talking about now is, well, you know, debt isn't too bad. What we can do is increase taxes and also get the unemployed back to work. So if we reduce the unemployment and get people back to work, that will help with the amount of debt that we've got to service. What are the next things that have happened with the market? Obviously, it's with the COVID virus and with the massive impact on the businesses. We're now thinking about a second wave of infections, immunity, and you know, maybe even potential mutations in the COVID virus. One thing I do feel is there's a lot of still anxiety, a lot of nervousness in the markets and with people generally. So yes, as we advance and move forward, then we do all have to change. We do have to think differently. But what are we doing differently and what are we changing within the portfolio? I spoke last time about property and property funds. I just want to make a bit of a point on here. We were hit right in the middle of the portfolios on the last round with a property clampdown, a property suspension. So we made a version 2 of the portfolios and removed property from the portfolios, but physically they couldn't be removed because they were on clamps. What that meant is if we've got if we've got, say, 15% in property, 85% of your portfolio can be rebalanced. And if we've got 10% allocated to UK equities, for example, only 8.5% will actually be rebalanced and put in there. So even the portfolio list that we had, they weren't true to their word, if you will. So, and that was just part of the problem of having property on suspension. I spoke last time about BMO Property Fund, and the reason it was under suspension was because of the FCA and their lack of confidence in the valuations of that fund. However, since then, I'm really pleased to report that the clamps have come off that one and it's back open for trading. The property sector funds have returned minus 3.1% in that 3-month period, but BMO have returned 18.9%. Phenomenal difference between the sector and that specific fund. And I just wanted to mention that about, really specifically about, you get the right fund manager, the right people. They're not perfect all the time. They're doing their best, but they are doing a fantastic job, much better than the average sector fund. Also, the illiquidity of property. You can't trade with that. It happens. It's happened before. It'll happen again. That's why it's important not to put all your eggs in one basket, and to make sure that if you've got income in retirement, that we've got other funds within your portfolio to sell, and you can then still go and pay your bills and live. For this particular situation, we've still got property under suspension. We've got a few funds in there, and we're about to redesign, rebalance, and redo everything. And my take at the moment is that we're not going to do that. We're not going to go there. We're going to leave the portfolios going as they are. When all the clamps are off, then we'll redress that. But it's probably, and it's likely to be towards the end of the year. We've done this at Trentham Invest before, so I think January is the most realistic position that we're going to have in terms of making a new design and a new rebalance. Don't think, oh, my portfolio is not working, because I now want to just share with you some of the performance reviews of those. So, looking at a risk-free portfolio in the last, so these were figures from last week, and the last 1 month of that portfolio, the portfolio had achieved 3.11%, in 3 months 7.05%, and in 6 months minus 1.12%. 1 year performance plus 1.62, so we can see a big variation in those figures over the 1 month, 3 months, and 1 year. If we then look, take that horizon a bit further to 4 years, we're looking at 23.08%. So drilling into that risk-free is about 40 funds within the portfolio, and picking out the top performers over the last month. The best performer was Baillie Gifford Positive Change at 17.95%. Who also returned 41% in 3 months. I mean, that's just staggering for a 3-month performance. And I remember back at the end of March, beginning of April, when everyone was like, no, I'm not investing. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to put more money into this, dropping market. So another one that I've picked out is JP Emerging Markets. They've returned 25.68% in 3 months. And these things happen. So I think the key lessons are that risk management within the portfolios is number one. Number two, pick the top fund managers in each sector to get the best performance. And don't put all your eggs in one basket. Do spread them, and don't just pick the top performers, because there will be the bottom performers in a short time. Thank you.